So every rapper in the world believes they're the best rapper in the world. It's kind of in the gene pool, the genetics of rap. You're all rappers now, by the way, and you are going to kind of inherit that belief. So I'm going to ask you a question. Here's, if you thought there was going to be no more audience participation, let me just disrupt that notion real quick. All right, I'm going to say, I'm a better rapper than who? I'm a better rapper than, and you're going to say, you. And you're going to pick someone that you got beef with in this room, all right? Preferably like a stranger. And I just want you to point at them, even though it's rude, and say, you. And everyone's going to be doing it, so it's fine, all right? So, are you ready? So I'll say, I'm a better rapper than who? I'm a better rapper than? You. I did not feel enough animosity. I'm starting to believe you don't believe that you're the best rappers in the world. Come on. I'm a better rapper than who? I'm a better rapper than? You. That's what I say to the mirror. Meaning I'm my own worst enemy. Did I tell you that if you clone 10 of me, you'd get 11 more MCs than there's meant to be? Meaning I was never really meant for rapping. It's kind of like an accident that happened in a lab, but so did penicillin, and how brilliant is that? Like a home-owning joker, I'm a villain with a pad and my pen, even iller than the level that my dad has to be, just to go to the GP. So I go with him, PG. Now he's staying alive. BGs. In reality, he really had a heart attack, a cardiac arrest, they said, but he wanted to see me disrupt this whole game that it brought him back from the dead. And when I'm on stage, I perform those raps. But it's a different subject when I'm standing in the class because I've got students who are influenced by everything they hear. It spills onto the road and it fills me with fear. They're in Hackney with some hackneys, and if that seems severe, never underestimate the pressure of impressing peers. Now I peer straight into the camera with grammar to be breaking your parameters of who you thought a rapper is. I know what you're doing, I know what you're thinking. I'm inking the rhythm and nobody's blinking. They're telling me I wasn't meant to be spitting because evidently I am definitely different. And it's true, I'm not living in the ends. But in my 9 to 5, I'm in the middle of them, sitting with prisoners who listen while they're sitting in pen and teaching young offenders that you can begin again. That's a story in reverse if you're following the thread. What are we doing for the youth? No tomorrow will be blessed if they're chased by yesterday until it's haunting all their steps like ghosts in the stairwells that watch too many deaths. Responsible address, there's a monster in my chest. Even though we set exams, life is constantly a test. And if a student passes, I guess that I have failed. What's the point of learning bars to go revise them in a jail? So it's a breakout poem within the function. It's a breakout poem for introduction. It's a breakout poem for TED production. Make some noise if you want some more disruption. So, hip-hop is a disruptive art. It consists of 4 elements, all right? Rap, which you just heard me do. Graffiti, which any teacher has seen, all over the tables. That's a hip-hop legacy right there. Breakdancing, which I'm going to demonstrate. I'm joking. No one wants that. And also DJing. DJing is what came first. Now, with hip-hop, you can actually trace the genesis of the genre to a singular time and place. We know the date and we know the location. 1973, 1520 Sedgwick Avenue, the Bronx. A man named Clive. It was his house, it was his party, or his sister's. It was a back-to-school celebration in August, and Clive went by another name, DJ Kool Herc. Great name, all right? And he was called Kool Herc because it was short for Hercules, on account that he was muscular, he was over 6 foot, he was like a demigod in the eyes of his neighborhood. But he would also live up to that moniker with what he did on that day, and he would enter himself to be immortalized in myth. Now, like any good DJ, he was observant. He watches the crowd, okay? He notices what the crowd like, what the crowd dislike. And he realized that the crowd would go crazy for these tiny sections of records, only about 6 seconds at a time, where it was only an isolated drum playing, just the drum. They called it the break or the get down. And he thought, this is 6 seconds of magic here, but it's 6 seconds and then it's gone. The problem was, how can he elongate? How could he disrupt the linear flow of that song and prolong it? So what he did, he went and bought 2 copies of the same record, identical. And on his turntable, he would have left and right. He would play that 6 seconds on the left turntable, switch to the right. As he was doing that, he would spin back the left with precision. He would play the right. As he was doing that, he would spin back to the left, and so and so forth. He called it the merry-go-round. It was revolutionary. It was very popular. By the next day, everyone wanted DJ Kool Herc to DJ their party. There weren't enough houses. There weren't enough house parties. So where did the party go? It went onto the streets. Now, this became a burgeoning youth movement, a rebellious one at that. And they began to seize space from New York's municipal powers. They began to revise the use of central thoroughfares. So what was a place to get from A to B became a block party. And it was done in this most ingenious, yes, illegal way. So the way it would happen is, I have no idea the physics behind it, but using makeshift turntables, these kids were able to hook up their equipment and hijack the electricity from streetlights. So they used the power of the New York grid to channel through their equipment to keep bass lines bumping through the energetic crowds on the block. So this creative theft of electricity was both in a literal and a figurative sense, a reclamation of power from the state. And these youths became empowered by what they were doing, and it spread, and it spread, and it spread. But this music wasn't just instrumental. It wasn't just drum breaks. You needed a master of ceremonies, someone to keep the party going. The master of ceremonies is what I'm doing tonight, essentially, the MC. Okay, now, early MCs, if you've ever listened to kind of the beginnings of hip hop, it was very nursery rhymes. So if we're all at a block party right now, it wouldn't be the greatest block party. Not too much music going on. But I might try to get it started. I'll do my best. I'll be struggling. And I would say something like, everybody in the place to be, can we make some noise at TED? And then I'd go home depressed. That would be one function of the MC, all right, to get the party started or to continue. Or they actually had housekeeping duties at this party. If there was a fight or something, you know, everybody has to follow the rules or you get kicked out of Donatar School. That would be another example. Or just good old-fashioned boasting. I'm a better rapper than who? I'm a better rapper than you. No, you're not. Now, the parties then kind of migrated to the record studio once people realized that you could make money from this. And when I say people, I mean the record industry. By 1979, the first big rap hit had been recorded, which was Sugar Hill Gang, Rapper's Delight. You've probably heard it. You'll know it if it ever comes on. Now, at this point, the lyrics of MCs started acquiring permanence. So what they said mattered more because it was sealed in wax. It wasn't just a firework of creativity that burst and then disappeared. It was something that was now forever. So certain characters started coming to the fore, and certain MCs started taking politically and socially conscious roles, and they were careful with what they said, and they said to uplift, not just entertain. So by 1988, you've got KRS-One. Now, he styled himself, his nickname was The Teacher. Now, he spelled it with an A rather than ER because he's cool, but The Teacher. His rap verses would say stuff like, you know, the lecture is conducted from the mic to the speaker. Who is weaker, the king or the teacher? It's not about a salary, it's all about a reality. The teacher teaches and does some good. The king just rules and is misunderstood. So what he was doing there as a teenager was disrupting our understanding of hierarchies, of where power truly lied. Did power remained in this anachronistic system of top-down governance, or could power come from grassroots movements and be reclaimed? This was his educative verse that he always would provide. So this was kind of the birth of hip-hop education. Hip-hop education went through three major iterations. Its first one, as we've just said, came from street knowledge, the rappers themselves who were trying to educate those who listened to them. And then in the 90s, and mainly in America, we're a bit behind here with it, but in America, you started getting hip-hop texts being brought into classrooms, and they were usually used to illuminate curricular work. So you might have some Shakespeare, and you might bring in some Jay-Z to help bring out a point about Shakespeare. So it was used as a curricular supplement. which is progress, and that is disruptive in and of itself. But is it revolutionary? Perhaps not, because you're still taking a different journey to get to the same end destination, which is standardized assessments used to judge the intelligence of a child. Not necessarily that revolutionary. Where we are at now with hip-hop education is the understanding that hip-hop is a culture. It is a worldview, and you can apply its principles to the classroom beyond just bringing in a token rap and saying, look, we're being revolutionary. Now, the principles of hip-hop, like Chuck D's Fight the Power, or Rakim's It Ain't Where You're From, It's Where You're At. And that is a very revolutionary thing to think as a teacher, to judge a child on where they are at, rather than just delivering this robotic, automatic curriculum to a passive recipient who has no say in the matter, regardless of where they are at. So this is called culturally relevant pedagogy. It's a term from 1995. Gloria Ladson-Billings came up with the term. And what it means is that you're teaching children according to their cultural turf. You're meeting them there, and you're teaching to their reality. If you imagine it as a universe, you have the student at the center, and we orbit around. That means the teacher, the curriculum, we orbit the student. The way things are at the moment, we have the curriculum at the center, and the teacher and the student, we orbit this fixed knowledge which never moves. Hip-hop disrupts that idea. It says that we can reclaim the power as a grassroots organization from top-down governance. That is where we are at. And where am I at? This is my job. I'm a hip-hop educator, have been for the last 10, 11 years. So my job is to help the emotional literacy of children. And I specifically work with children who are expelled from school or have never attended mainstream school. It's a company in London called The Complete Works, and we work all across London with children for whom the mainstream system has not worked. And my job is to use rap to re-engage those students with their education. Does it work? Sometimes, I'll say sometimes. Now, how did I get into this? Like I mentioned at the very beginning, it's kind of by accident. I had no idea that I just had this facility with words, but it wasn't like I was just watching cartoons one day and I just saw like Postman Pat and I was like, I'm gonna rap battle you. I'm gonna start some beef, Postman Pat. That would be funny though. Let me post this rap. Pull up on a block, saw Postman Pat. I drove his van, then I stole his cat. When I stole his cat, I didn't post it back. I'm bad, you better call Fireman Sam. Flame on the mic every time that I rap. All of you are living in a la-la land and a ha-ha laugh at the bars you scan. Chuckle vision, but don't cut the rhythm. I keep up the mission and it slaps. Like sooty and sweet when I bully this beat, but I always keep it on track. I'm Popeye with more in the can. I'm Thomas with more in the tank. Of spinach, I finish a rapper. I'm Neil Buchanan the way I attack. With the art, I'm smart plus sharp as a dart. When I keep it on point, bullseye. I show up to your pineapple under the sea, then I eat it with all of my guys. Bob and Weave. Fred Flintstone can't rot like me. Dexter in the laboratory. I'll go back to the TED Talk in 1, 2, and 3. Anyway, we get the idea. Yeah. So if I have a student in my classroom, and like many students these days, it's not necessarily cartoons that they're into, but let's say it's comic books, Marvel and DC, and it's hip hop. That's a very common Venn diagram. Now, I might have a student who refuses to listen in class and has a poor memory according to themselves. They might say, I can't remember anything, can't listen to anything. How can I get through to that student? And how can I use their interest, this culturally relevant pedagogy? So I might come up with a little game. We can play it now. I want you to think of one superhero from a comic book and one villain. Okay, so one superhero and one villain. Now I'm gonna hide these names in a rap. So I might say something like, I'm developing intelligent lettering and everything I'm penning has a level of venom in. So what have I hidden there? Which character? Venom, exactly. So if you had Venom, you've won, well done. Okay, let's play the game. My job is to try and get as many, and I can't see you, but as many of your villains and heroes as possible. I'm developing intelligent lettering, and everything I'm penning has a level of venom, and I'm a superhero, come marvel at me. But no comic book is half as comic as the comic that I can be. But I'm not always a joker. I could be serious, like Batman. Linguistic reflex like a cat. Man, I leap over the cleverest verse I've never ever rehearsed, and I still land on my feet. I'm a daredevil, a prepared rebel. See if I find any year 10 in a terrible sulk. I say you never need to be any Incredible Hulk. It's all right. You don't have to be strong. Sometimes I'm like a Fortnite. I'm too weak. I can't actually fly. When I do try, I look like a chicken. It's true speech. My shirt needs an iron. Man. I'll bite my nails, I'll never be Wolverine, and I waste time on the web. It doesn't make me Spider-Man. And Lois Lane hasn't replied to my phone again, and I'll only be one of the X-Men if my fiance moves on to the next men. The truth is sour. It doesn't mean that I don't have superpowers like you and you and you. You don't need a Hawkeye to see the depth of your intelligence. You're someone's superhero or someone's superheroine from the first verse to the last stanza, from the first question to the last answer. From here at Dunatar School all the way to Wakanda, you are Black Panthers and superheroes and Wonder Women and all of these things and the above. And your grammar can strike like Thor's hammer enough to make Jaws stammer because you could see it with your eyes. You could hear it with your earlobes. I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, and you're going to say, I'm a superhero. So you can see it with your eyes. You could hear it with your earlobes. 1, 2, 3, I'm a superhero. Exactly. Believe it. Believe it. You're not only a superhero, but you're the best rapper in the entire multiverse. Now, a student might say, I got them. I got all the ones. And I would play it with about 6. And then I say, okay, so you can take down information flying past you at high speed. You can retain that, you can remember it, and you can produce it when I ask. So next time that you hear a new poem or a new story, you will be able to employ the same skills. So anyone who thinks, okay, rap's not academic, how can we use that at school? I would say it's games like this that just help reframe or recontextualize and disrupt what our traditional and conventional view of education is. But the most important part of that poem, I would say, is the content, okay? At the end, I'm finishing with this idea that children are superheroes. And we are in a society where children are often suppressed and ignored and marginalized. And just for them to take on and embody that idea that they have this power to reclaim more power from grassroots up against top-down governance, I think that is a disruptive idea. So I'm gonna ask you one more question. I'm a better rapper than who? I'm a better rapper than you. Thank you very much, everybody.